Sue and stuff. And I talked to Squeaky and Sandy once about it at the Spawn Ranch. And they kept saying, just forget about it.
This was after it happened?
Oh yeah, this is like 1970 at the ranch. And I talked to him about it, and Sandy said, just forget it, you know. It's kind of like Clem was around with the shotgun at the time, and she kind of like hinted like it isn't a good idea to bring this up. And I just said screw it and let it go. And you know, even when I talked to Country Sue about it in '75, and I kept saying, you know, one of us should write a book and just talk about this and mention it, you know. She was saying, it's better forgotten. Just forget about it, you know. Just let it go. And like other people said the same thing. I mean, you know, no one, even like when I was in jail, and I wrote a letter from Austin, and I wrote a letter to Tex from jail, and I sent it to Bria's wife over at their religious thing, and I wrote Tex, and I said, Tex, maybe I'm writing a book about my life, and you know, I think it's time, like, maybe people should find out about this, you know. And I never got heard back from him, but when I called his wife from Austin, when I got out of jail, and I talked to Christian on the phone, she was saying she saw Tex, and Tex was saying, like, to her that Tex told her that, like, you know, like, it's not the Christian thing to just bring it up anymore. Just, you know, let the past be the past. And, you know, Jesus will take care of it. You know, just let it go. You know, just be a good Christian.
That was his wife that said that?
Yeah.
Where does she live now?
Christian? She's up in, I forgot the city she's in. I got her number because Bill published a book about Manson called Manson and His Madness or something. I forgot the name of the full title. But in the book, he went to the post office and got this thing, and it listed her address, her phone number, and everything, where she can be reached. So I had her phone number, so I called her a few times and talked to her on the phone. A couple times she was on her way over to see Tex in jail. I've talked to her maybe 2 or 3 times on the phone now. And she comes up really nice. She really believes in Jesus, and she's really been saved, and, you know, and she said, you know, she gave Tex all my mail, and that Tex says that Jesus will take care of things, just, you know, I shouldn't make waves and stuff, and Jesus will take care of it. And I just, you know, and I said, I contacted Bill because, like, Bill was doing a website, and he was asking about other murders, and I mentioned that I knew about another unsolved murder that was going on, and I was willing to help him on his unsolved murder, and he wanted me to send him some pictures. So I sent him my manuscript, and that's when he read the thing about where I mentioned the dead bodies. And that was the point of that. I guess that he decided that that was more important than Maria Hobby at the time.
So the unsolved murders that you're talking about is the 3 out in Barker Ranch?
No, the unsolved murder that I even contacted Bill about was Maria Hobby.
Oh, okay.
Because he was talking about unsolved murders, and at the time nobody cared because it was still an unsolved crime, and I knew about who had done it, and I felt like it was time to kind of get that thing. I felt like, you know, hey, that happened in '68, and let's just, you know, maybe it's time to just break it open. And, you know, this just came up later, you know, when he read my manuscript. But if I hadn't sent him my manuscript, you know, it still would have just, you know, it would have been just let go, and then I would have just been talking to Bill about Maria Hobby. I mean, it would have been out when my book got published, but up until then, and even then, probably, like, no one really cared that much. And I still didn't get much, Maria Hobby was, like, really important. Because that was one unsolved murder from 1968 that needed to get taken care of.
What jurisdiction was that in?
LA County.
LA County?
Yeah.
Have you talked to any investigators from LA County?
No, I just
So at this
talked to
time,
him about. I just told him about what I knew about that murder.
so at this time, it's still an unsolved murder.
Still, yeah, it's still unsolved.
Going back to Barker Ranch, did Charlie help you put the bodies in the grave? What did Charlie do after shooting the 3 kids?
He walked off, went off and talked with Brenda, and that was about it. He went off. He just went off. He went off, and that was, I didn't see Charlie for a while after that. I mean, it was just like, I went off and bald Sadie, and
How long did you stay up at Barker Ranch after that happened?
on and off until by then it was like the whole thing. The raids came down later, and when the raids hit, we were hiding. A bunch of us, when the first raid hit, we never got caught because a bunch of us were like down over hiding by the Lotus mines.
Who was with you there?
Different. Well, you wouldn't know any of these people because they were like new people that just joined the family.
Do you know them by names?
A lot of people were coming in and out at the time. There was, different people, and everyone had different aliases and different names that they were using at different times.
Where was Squeaky and Sadie and them during that?
At
Did they
that
get caught
point,
the first time?
They got caught the first time. And then the second raid, when people were arrested. I mean, when that thing happened the second time, and everyone got popped the second time, there was still like maybe 12, 14 people that were still running around out in the outer regions of Valley. And then
were you one of those people?
Yeah, I didn't get popped.
Were
I didn't
you?
get arrested, and I was over by Lotus, and we were hiding, and like we never got caught, and I made it out hitchhiking. I just hitchhiked back, and I got the hell out of there. And
what happened to everybody else?
They all ended up in jail. And other people just kind of disappeared. Everyone just kind of bailed, and people ended up back at Spawn. Other people went someplace. I ended up back at Spawn for a few days, and then I went back to Berkeley and stayed up there, and then Sandy, and then we're Independence, and then all that other stuff was going on. And when by the time the trial actually started, I was back in Berkeley, and I stayed in Berkeley.
We're going to take a break at this time.
Fix my shoulder, Doc.
We're back on tape at 4 o'clock. Do you have any idea what Charlie did with the gun?
No clue, and it didn't think about it. I never dawned on me. I didn't no thought about it whatsoever. Period.
Well, after that day of the shootings of the 3 runaways at Barker Ranch, did you ever see the gun again?
No, I never saw anything. I mean, I didn't see anything like that.
Can you describe the gun for us?
Just a 45. I mean, it's 45 and automatic, and that was it. I just remember it was a 45, and it was bang, 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 and it happened, and it was over, and that was it.
Do you remember what color 45 it was?
No, I don't. I just remember. You got to understand something that most people don't really understand about this. Charlie ingrained in us, in our heads, that you won't get caught if you don't got thought in your head. That was something that we always talked about. We always remembered it. It was a saying he said, and so when he said something, you didn't question it, you did it, and you forgot. And it was over and done, and it was something in the back of your mind. And you just don't bring things up, because if you bring things up, it makes people think, and if you start thinking about stuff, you end up like zero, and other people, and it was kind of like too many other things were going on. Everybody knew, of course, about Tate LaBianca. That was like, everybody knew that. I mean, that everybody knew what was going on that, and there was no way I was going to question anybody about stuff like that. I mean, when the next morning after Tate LaBianca, when we were all in Old Man Spawn's trailer, and we were watching TV, and they were doing the news reports, and Clem opened his big mouth and he goes, you really picked, the soul really picked a good one this time. And everyone was looking at him like, shut the fuck up, Clem. And it was like out of mind, out of body. You just don't think about this stuff. It just happens, you forget it, it's over, it's done. And the only time it ever meant anything was after it was over, and me and Sadie took our sleeping bags and we went up by the waterfall, and we made love, and it was the best sex I ever had in my life. And
now this was after the Tate LaBianca murders.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, and even then it was like, hey, out of, like you say, no thought, no nothing. I mean, you just forget it happened, big deal, It was like, got burned on a drug deal. They got what they deserved. It wouldn't have happened if Abigail Folger and Volchek Bukowski hadn't ripped us off. If they didn't rip us off, nothing happens. We go about our own life. Nobody gets hurt. Everything's cool, But the drug deal went down. We got burned. Charlie freaks. They killed everybody in the house. They panicked. Charlie just kind of went off. But then, you just forget. I mean, it was just the kind of thing there was just too many things happening too fast, too quick, that you just want to forget about. And to me, it was I always felt, and even Sadie, yeah, she always felt like it happened, that she just it was Clem, people like Clem that were running around with shotguns, that were they didn't call him what they called him for nothing. You don't do that much acid. Charlie would give him LSD, and Charlie gave him acid. I mean, they called him scatterbrains, and they didn't call him scatterbrains for nothing. And the reason they did that was because Charlie would give him LSD. Charlie said, handed him a gun. He could say 30 years later, Charlie was free right now, and he said something he didn't like. Charlie would walk up, give Clem some acid, wait about 20-30 minutes for the acid to hit, walk up to Charlie. Charlie would walk up to Clem and say hand him a 357, because this is the 90s. He would say, kiss him off. Boom. Clem would do it, because Charlie told him to do it. Clem was that kind of guy. Clem would kill in a heartbeat. And he scared me enough that I hid for 30 years, or close to it. I mean, I'm 22, but people like that still scare me. I mean, I would have stayed underground even longer, but I figured, oh, Sandy ain't gonna fuck with me. It's safe. And then I decided, well, maybe if I make peace with the family, maybe they'll forgive me. So I did something stupid. First I didn't get no answer, so I wrote Charlie a letter, and Cochran, and I told him, I said, Charlie, I'm sorry that I wasn't there when Squeaky needed me. I'm sorry I wasn't there to go to Sacramento. I'm sorry I didn't, I wasn't around, I wasn't there. Would you please forgive me? And then later, when I got to Kernville, I figured, okay, everything's cool. And then I saw Country Sue, and she had seen Sandy up at the hot springs over at Echelon. And she talked to Sandy, and Sandy, I guess, had heard from Charlie, and they were going to forgive me and let me back in again. And everything was cool. And everything was fine, and I could rejoin the family. So I started hanging out with Country Sue in Guerneville. And that was all 95. And I figured, hey, everything's cool again. I can be White Rabbit, everything's fine, everything's cool. And, but I started feeling funny about it later when Country Sue's daughter came back from a trip in Echelon, and she saw Sandy, and Sandy made some crack about, she saw a magazine I did in San Francisco, with a punk magazine called Half Truth, and Sandy goes, that fucking rabbit's back doing the same shit again. He's selling interviews, and he's talking. Doesn't he know how to shut his fucking mouth? And it was about that time that I was having problems, and I decided it was time. It was cool to get out of Guerneville, and I moved back to Austin, and I left Guerneville, and so I started feeling really funny, and to this day I'm still feeling the same way. Even now, even talking about it now, it really gives me things in my stomach, just kind of doesn't make me exactly feel really great, even talking about this shit.
Sure.
And like I say, the reason I'm even doing it now is because he brought it up, and he saw it in my manuscript. If he hadn't saw it in my manuscript, if I had just sent him the pictures, it wouldn't have even been brought up now, and I would have just tried to forget about it for a while. I probably would have mentioned it to him when my book came out. I would have probably sent him a copy of it, and he would have asked me about it, and it probably would have ended up where I was talking to you guys like this anyway.
Right.
But it, I'd have been a little feeling. By then, I would have, felt a little better about it. Like I say, I still sometimes feel funny walking down the street in Austin, knowing that there's Manson family people running around Dallas and other parts of Texas. That now, I'm still feeling really, really nervous about walking the streets.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on and on.
That's
But
right.
I just want you to know why I feel the way I feel.
Well, I think we do that. Let's get refocused back to Barker Ranch if we
One
may.
sec.
Okay.
All right.
Refocusing back to Barker Ranch, the time of the incident. We know that the first raid was October 10th of 1969. How, to the best that you can recall, how much time was it before when this murder occurred? from the time of the raid?
For the within about, I think, about 4 or 5 days.
4 or 5 days.
I'd say in that range. Yeah, I'd say about 4 or 5, 6 days. In that range. I'm just, you know,
Do you remember?
time was going by kind of fast those days.
Were you out at the ranch when the loader was burned? The loader that belonged to Park Service by the county?
I didn't know, I mean, I didn't really know about the loader till later. I mean, I heard about it, but I mean, people, they were taking people back and forth between the ranch and Barker, and I had made one of the trips, and I was at Barker later. I mean, I heard about it after it happened. You know, but I mean, I wasn't there when it happened. I mean, you heard about things that were going on, but, you know, it was like, you know, people were talking. Sadie was always opening her mouth, yakking about this or that. People were always talking. And most of the time, like I say, I was spending most of my time around Sexy Sadie. I mean, my whole interest at Barker was balling Sexy Sadie. I mean, that's all I thought about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and, you know.
I see.
That was it. That was my my whole
And she was
thing.
picked up in the first raid?
Yeah.
What did you do between the first raid and the second raid?
I just stayed hidden. I stayed out of there. I ran
Okay, where did you stay hidden at?
over by the Lotus mines.
Is that very far away from the Barker Ranch?
A little ways, yeah. And after,
Did you return to the Barker Ranch between October 10th and October 12th?
between the first and second raid?
Right.
No.
No.
I stayed hidden, and when the second raid went down, and I bailed. I quickly got out of there. I just decided, the hell with this shit. I'm going back to California. And when I got out of there, I hitchhiked. And after the second raid was over and all that, there was still like 10 or 12 people that were kind of getting the fuck out of there. And we all left, and everybody split. The people that were that left, and people just hitchhiked out. I got back to LA. I stopped at the Spawn Ranch for like 2 days, hung out there, got the fuck out of there, left, went to Berkeley and stayed in Berkeley. And I was in Berkeley until I got a phone call. How they tracked me, I got no fucking clue. But there's powers with the family that are totally beyond my belief. But somehow, some way, Squeaky and Sandy found out that I was in Berkeley. Somehow they put a phone call in to a place that I was hanging out at, and they said, "Rabbit, we want you back at Spawn." I showed back up, was there like 2 days, and I left again. Went back to Berkeley. This time, I totally disappeared. I decided no one's gonna know where I was. And when I left the family, I hitchhiked. When I got a ride, I met a guy by the name of Stephen Gaskin, and I started getting involved in a thing called Monday Night Class. He was very spiritual. He was like Charlie, but he was like really, really right on. And I used to go to his Monday night classes. And so, on Haight Street. So I started like going to there. I hung out there. Well, when all this was going on, somehow again, later, by then, like, it was almost a while later, Squeaky and Sandy somehow tracked me again, and with their persuasive powers or whatever, tracked me a second time. This time, they tracked me, and they said, "We need you back at Spawn." I left that night, got back there. I got up to Spawn, and they hid me from the rest of the family. Just Gypsy, Squeaky, Sandy, and Clem. And that was the night that Ed Sanders, the next morning, Ed Sanders showed up with Abby Hoff and Jerry Rubin and their wives. And they were there riding horses. And me and Clem were out that morning shoveling horse shit. And they had me pretty well hidden from everybody else, and except for that work we were doing in the morning. And they saw me up there. Anyhow, Clem had a shotgun.